Hello, good morning. Welcome to this week's staff brief. I'm Paul Robinson, I'm the Chief Executive. And the good news is that for those of you joining live, you have realised that staff briefs move from Wednesday to a Tuesday at noon. So thank you for that. And for those who may be joining us on a repeat or join again, then please be aware that we have moved until further notice on Tuesday at 12 o'clock at noon. We will be holding staff briefs then. So I can see that 29 have joined us. So well done for joining us on a Tuesday, and thank you. Today I'm joined by Emma Challans-Rasool, who's our Director of Culture and Improvement, and Emma will be updating us all on this year's Excellence Awards. And I'm also pleased that Ali Pearson, our Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Lead, is also with us, and Ali will be talking about the staff networks we have in place across the Trust and their availability for everyone to get involved. So, and in the background, I never mentioned Jess in the background. So in the background, we've always got the technical wizardry on these staff briefs, and Jess Baxter's in the background, and she'll be making sure that everything works smoothly. So thank you for that, Jess. So a couple of general updates before I hand over to Emma. Heatwave, feels like we're probably towards the end of it, and I know that we're on alert level 1 today, so it feels like things are changing, and there are apparently thunderstorms in the offing. So thank you to all our colleagues for their efforts over the past week. I know it's been an incredibly challenging few days during the heat. We downgraded the alert level to 2, and please check intranet for any further information. Continue to take care of yourselves and others, regular breaks and regular hydration. Okay, so second update on World Photography Day. This is on Friday, so Friday the 19th is World Photography Day, and we're asking colleagues to take part and share pictures to show what it means to be part of #Team SFH. And you can share those pictures on Facebook or indeed on Twitter by using the hashtag SFH World Photography Day. On the photography theme, clinical photography is now live on Nerve Centre. So the clinical photography feature on Nerve Centre is now available for use, and you'll be able to take clinical images securely in the Nerve Centre app using your handheld device. And these pictures will then be attached to patient records, and it's hoped that this quick access to photography will enhance patient care and obviously be a major aid to clinical decision making. Just to demonstrate this feature and answer any questions, the digital nurses are out on wards this week, so please engage with the digital nurses, find out how it works, and use this important new and exciting feature on Nerve Centre. That's great, thank you. And Emma, I think you've got an update on September, so
I am.
To just pick up there.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I'm going to say morning then, colleagues, but we're now into the afternoon by about 4 minutes. So afternoon, and I hope you're all keeping well. So yeah, I'd like to share with everyone our next Fitness for All challenge. So many of you are involved in our Fitness for All that we do through our secure staff Facebook group. And we have several challenges that we've been running now for a good 18 months, and I think it's fair to say that they're always very popular, and it's also fair to say that we get a lot of competitiveness across our divisions, which is brilliant. The main thing though really is that Fitness for All is all about helping each other to have a healthier lifestyle, for us to feel energized, motivated, to keep connected with each other and engage with each other in teams. So what's our next challenge? So we are going to have our next challenge step into September, and we're taking this approach based on a lot of feedback from colleagues around those who are just out and about every day doing your day jobs and the amount of steps that you accumulate over each day. Some of the numbers and thousands that I've heard are phenomenal. So now is the opportunity to share those and across divisions, and we'd also like to invite our colleagues across Medirest and Skanska to get involved as well. And the challenge is from the 1st of September and throughout, we all step into the September Fitness for All challenge, and we all log the steps that we do each day, and the division or area that we are attached to or working within. And then what we aim to do is that we want you all to share, as you do, through the Fitness for All Facebook group. So share your pictures, your stories, how you feel motivated, a lot of your team morale going on. And then what we will do at the end of September, we'll look across all the areas, and the winning division or team will be the one that receives the Fitness for All Cup. So the next challenge has been stepped. We hope that this is a one that everybody can get involved in, no matter what role. We all do a certain number of activity and steps each day. So yes, 1st of September, there'll be news about it going out on the Facebook group, the Fitness for All Facebook group, and also Twitter. And then we're having some posters to pop up in areas with a QR code, which will take you straight to how you register your steps. So that's the next challenge. Thank you, Paul. I'm sure many colleagues can get involved in that one.
Absolutely, and I know it's really popular. So step into September, and I look forward to Craig being on these staff briefs, sharing with us how far across the globe we've actually got with our steps as well.
Yeah. So we'll share those week on week. Who's in the lead, give us all a bit of motivation, and like I say, there's some great competitiveness but some great morale. So thank you to everyone who has participated in past challenges, and I hope you can get involved in this next one.
Great, we'll look forward to that. So same with you, Emma. Excellence Awards.
Yeah, so it's that time of year. We try to celebrate and recognise many colleagues in Sherwood throughout the year, but once a year we have our Excellence Awards, and it's a fantastic opportunity where we can recognise people in the organisation, the teams, individuals, services, rising stars, those who are actually doing well in terms of developing themselves and the team, and also a great one around recognising our volunteers as well. So now's the time to put your nominations in. Now the Excellence Award closes this Sunday at midnight. So that gives us up until Sunday midnight for you to put your nominations in, and for us to have, well, what is always a challenging task for the judges panel of the amazing nominations that we get each year. So far, I believe we've had just over 100 nominations. I'm sure there's a lot more that are going to go in this week, but really it's just to encourage and remind you all to take that opportunity to recognise someone who's gone above and beyond, recognise someone who works as a key team member, whether that motivates you, energises you and your team, or just is always there to give a helping hand. Also, just to recognise people who might have personally had a lot of development in their role, and they're a rising star, so it gives you an opportunity to celebrate those. So this is a reminder, please, and encouragement for you all to get your nominations in, and let's make it a really tough one again for the judges. I know each year that it's a very difficult task, but also a very warming and rewarding one, reading some of the amazing nominations that we do get. So midnight this Sunday, if everyone can please get involved and nominate their colleagues and teams. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma, and as you were saying, it's so important that we take the time to recognise what our colleagues have done to support teams, to support ourselves individuals, and of course to give great care to patients, to celebrate that and to recognise where that takes place is so hugely important for ourselves to reflect, but also for the individuals to be nominated. And you're quite right, let's make the judging really difficult. We know that there's some fantastic people, some fantastic teams, and some fantastic care that we give. Let's celebrate and recognise all that's happened in the last 12 months in that way. And so midnight on Sunday is the deadline. So let's just take a little bit of time for everyone to think how we can recognise someone who we feel would be worthy of one of our many awards. How many award categories do we have? Is it 14?
Yeah, I think there's about 14, 15 categories in whole, so you've got a lot to choose from.
Exactly. Exactly. So whatever we want to recognise, whether it's kindness to individuals, to teams, it's innovation, whether it's a thank you, whatever it might be, then I'm sure you can find a category to nominate that individual or team for an award. Thanks, Emma. Thank you. Just noting in the chat that I hope everyone can get access to and use if you've got any questions. But Jess, as I said, is doing the technical wizardry behind this, and she's already posted the hashtag for World Photography Day, the details of the awards, the Excellence Awards, and the nomination form as well. So they're there in the chat for anyone to access. So keep your questions coming in if you have any, and I'll move now to you, Ali. Staff networks. So we know we've got staff networks, and I'm sure you're going to try to give us a little bit more information on the work of those staff networks and encourage people to get involved.
Absolutely.
Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks ever so much for having me back, Paul. And good morning, colleagues. Good afternoon, should I say? We've just slipped into the afternoon there. Yeah, I hope everybody's well. And I wanted to come back and talk about staff networks. I have talked about them before, as some of you may have seen if you've attended staff brief before. But really what we're doing in August is relaunching our staff network. So you may have already seen information in the comms bulletin around our staff networks. And what we're trying to do is to increase membership to staff networks. But also I thought this would be a really good opportunity to go into a little bit more detail about what our staff networks actually do and what the benefit is of being on a staff network as a member or as an ally. So thank you so much, Paul, for giving me the space to talk to colleagues today. So we have 5 staff networks at Sherwood, and I think the last time I attended Team Brief we had 3. So we have our Ethnic Minority Network, our LGBTQ+ staff network, our WAND network, which is for those colleagues with disabilities or long-term conditions. We have our Carers network, which is one of the new networks, and also meeting for the first time this week, it's our Women in Sherwood network. So we've really broadened the number of networks that we have in the organisation to support colleagues. And we know that people are our greatest asset in the organisation. We know that. And we also know that when colleagues are positive and feeling happy, supported and included as part of a wider team, as part of their own team, and just in their roles, that positivity reaches our patients, who are the very people that we're here to serve. So we need to spread that belonging, and our staff networks aim to ensure that colleagues are being heard, being valued, enabling you to be you, which helps to make Sherwood a great place to belong. And that's at the heart of what our staff networks are working towards, that belonging and that inclusive culture that we're building at Sherwood. And we're doing well, but we know we can do more. So in terms of what our networks do, they work to improve colleague experiences and tackle issues that are relevant to that particular network. And they do that through the building of action plans. And they might find those action plan actions anywhere, but it can come from personal lived experience at work. It could come from staff survey results. So just to give you an example, the chair of our LGBTQ+ network, Mitchell Speed, had a meeting just after Pride, and network talked about the physical assaults that colleagues from our LGBTQ+ community are facing at work. And they've started to talk about some actions that relate to how we can tackle that and how we can support people from that community when those instances do happen. But the issue is to tackle them from happening in the first place. So that's one example of where the network have looked at the results of the staff survey and said, we need to do something about this. So watch this space, because there will be updates as that work progresses. So that's just one example. So they tackle issues for our underrepresented and disadvantaged groups. So those that are marginalised or have been silenced in the past, we're giving the voices to colleagues, enabling them to be heard. They offer safe places for colleagues to share their experiences, and I think that's a really important thing to note, that we want to create these safe places for people to come and share their experiences. And I've been witness to people doing that on numerous occasions where they have felt that these networks are a safe place to discuss an experience that they've had at work. They've had support from the network, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that person wants there to be an action around that lived experience that they've had, but just knowing that people are there to support, to encourage, to empathise means a lot to colleagues. They also help to shape and deliver our people policies and practices. So, for example, our EDI strategy, our anti-racism strategy, and our overall EDI strategy has been influenced by staff network members. So they do a lot. So how do they get all this done? Well, they're supported by myself in their work, but also they're supported by chairs and co-chairs. So these are voluntary roles. So the colleagues that do these roles volunteer to do them because they care about the network's agenda, they care about making a difference. So we currently have Sue Mandov, who is the chair of the Ethnic Minority Network. Jerry Edwards is the co-chair, and we've also got Mitchell Speed, who I mentioned earlier, is the chair of the LGBTQ+ network. So we've got some gaps. We've got some gaps where we need to get some chairs and co-chairs. So I'm appealing today for people to join as members of the staff network, as one who identifies with the community being served, or as an ally. And I'm also appealing for chairs and co-chairs. So you don't have to be a member of a staff network, but if you're interested in chairing and you can evidence good allyship, then we'd be absolutely love to hear from you. So in terms of how the work is supported, all our members are given an hour a month in works time, so the organisation supports that. So we must say thank you to our exec team for agreeing to that, to support members to give an hour a month to the staff network. Chairs get a day a month to carry out the duties of the network, and co-chairs get half a day a month. And that's all to be afforded during works time. So if you want to be on a network, do approach your line manager and let them know, so that they can ensure that that time is made available to you when you've joined the network. So we're also launching a Staff Networks information pack. So please look out in the bulletin and the comms this week, because the pack will be in the bulletin this week, or at least a link to the pack. And I would encourage everybody to read this. If you're not quite sure about joining a staff network, I asked members to share with me why they had joined a staff network. The response was overwhelming, and the quotes that I've been able to put into this pack are really, really heartwarming. And I would love you to read them, where colleagues have shared their experiences of being in the closet for many, many years, and now being out as a lesbian woman, and the freedom and how good that feels, especially in work. We've got colleagues who have said that they joined a network to raise awareness of disability, because they have a particular disability that can sometimes be a struggle for them at work. So there's loads of really, really good stories of why people have joined our networks, and I'd love you to read them, just so that might give you that bit of incentive to join too, and to support those colleagues, as well as supporting everyone around you. So the pack will be out this week, so please look in the bulletin for that. One thing I didn't mention about what our staff networks do, which is probably the best bit of the job, if you like, is they support in the development and delivery of awareness raising and events at Sherwood. So we invite staff members to put special occasions, special dates that really matter to them onto our Facebook Team SFH Facebook group to celebrate and raise awareness of those events. But also we do 3 big events for each of our staff networks every year. So if we think about last month was Pride, and that ended 6 days ago with the Integrated Care Systems virtual Pride event. Black History Month is a month that we celebrate throughout October, and this month we are delighted to say that finally we have a date for our Reach Out event. So that's a special day where we will be celebrating race, ethnicity and cultural heritage within Sherwood. And due to COVID restrictions, we had to postpone this event from taking place in July. So it will now be taking place on the 14th of October. Save the date in your diary if you can, and further details of how to book onto that day will follow as well in communications. And then we're already planning for Disability History Month. So that is something that we celebrate at Sherwood, and the 3rd of December being a significant date, as that's the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. For the Carers Network, we have Carers Week, and we also celebrate International Women's Day for our women's network. So there is a variety of things that colleagues can get involved with, have some fun with, get a bit creative with, and support the message that the staff networks are trying to bring forward. It also would not be appropriate for me to not thank our exec sponsors. So every network within Sherwood has an executive sponsor, and the role of a sponsor is not to manage or govern the networks or to advise on what needs to be in action plans or what doesn't need to be in action plans. Our execs are there to support. They're there to support, encourage, and be an advocate and a champion for the work that the staff networks are doing. So we're very grateful that our executive team are involved as sponsors, but what that also means is that the voices of our colleagues are being heard by execs and by board, and the information pack that I'm going to send, or I'm going to publish, shows you how the networks feed into lots of different sub-cabinets and committees, and eventually into exec team and trust board, so that it demonstrates that if people think that a staff network is perhaps just a place where people have a chat, yep, we do that because that's allowed, but it's also a place where we take action and we make sure that the actions that we want to be heard and escalated to our senior team, we're able to do that through the exec sponsors and the governance of the networks. I did mention allies, so I want to encourage colleagues who don't identify with the networks that are supported in those communities to really think about becoming an ally for a network. So what is an ally? So it's someone who doesn't self-identify with a particular community, but stands with or next to that community as a friend, as an advocate, as a sponsor, a champion and a supporter. And on the subject of allyship, there is new training that we'll be launching next week, initially on online MS Teams sessions, but hopefully in the future face-to-face sessions. And these will be run regularly by me. And in developing that training session for colleagues, I've included a lot about my own personal journey to becoming an ally and being recognised by peers in the NHS as an ally and a good ally at that. So I want to share my experience of the journey that I've been on to be an ally, because it's not just about saying, yes, I'll sign that document so I can have a pretty rainbow lanyard. It's about much more than that. So I really want to encourage colleagues to look out for the allyship training dates and book on for a session that hopefully will be inspiring, educational, but also a little bit challenging. But yeah, I really want to welcome colleagues into that. So that's about it. I ought to take a breath, didn't I? And take a pause. Thank you.
Take a pause, Ali. That was a lot all in one go. Appreciate that. Lots of information there. I just thought might be useful just to recap of some of the points that I thought were really important. So firstly, you were talking about exec sponsors, and I think it's well recognised that across the executive team and in fact the whole board of directors that we want every colleague here at Sherwood to feel supported and included, and I think that is the core of why we have staff networks, so that everyone feels that way and can contribute in that way. It's really important that people get involved. We've got some gaps, as you were saying. You don't have to. No one has to join as a co-chair or a chair. but membership and interest is what we're trying to get to. And I look forward to the packs that you've put forward, and hearing how being a member of staff networks is what it's meant to people who've already been involved in it. And I think that'll be really powerful. And I'm really interested in the allyship training. I'll certainly be signing up for that and getting involved in that. We've had conversations, you and I, in the past on that. That's something that I feel really strongly about, and I certainly would like to know more, and quite happy to be challenged. Quite happy to be challenged, as you know. So I'll be getting involved in that. So thank you for putting those on. Yeah, is there anything that I missed that was really important, Ali, in the messages there?
No, I think you've captured it really nicely, and thank you. Yeah, I think the interest and, you know, that genuine desire to support others. You know, we care for patients day in, day out, and I know that that's a huge. I know it's a huge ask to say to people, please take an hour out of your working month to support this work. But I'd love to see some of that care and that dedication to colleagues across the trust. So yeah, thank you for that, Paul. It really reinforces what I'm trying to achieve and what our networks are trying to achieve. And the allyship is really important, because you know we invite colleagues to be allies as part of a staff network, but actually being an ally is something that we can do every day of our working lives, and we don't necessarily have to be assigned to a particular network to carry out that allyship role. And the training will talk about how we do that, and the trickiest part of being an ally, which is calling out poor behaviour when we see it. And I know that people really struggle with that, but we want to encourage people to have those conversations and to challenge others when they see things that aren't right and they know they're not right. So we'll be exploring that as well. Little taster there of the agenda.
Yeah, fantastic. And you know, back to that sort of core of what we're here for here. So great patient care is even better when all those that are contributing, all our colleagues, feel supported and included.
Absolutely.
It results in even better patient care. So it's the core of why we're here. We're not here for anything else. Support each other to give great patient care. Yeah.
And I think it's important to think about as well what our evidence tells us about the experiences of colleagues, because this isn't just you know, figures that we get off the top of our head. You know, our staff survey results are evidence of the experiences that some of our colleagues are having, and it's particularly apparent that those from disadvantaged communities or marginalised communities have a worse experience at work than colleagues who are in a majority community. So as the majority, we need to support the minority in our organisations and in our work, in our everyday lives, really. You know, I certainly advocate for other communities in my personal life as much as I do in my work life. My husband actually recently said to me, it's not, your job isn't a job anymore, it's like a way of life, because I live and breathe it all the time. So yeah, it matters to me a lot, and I know that there's more that we can do, and I'm sure there are the colleagues out there that I haven't reached yet that want to get involved. So please do get in touch with me, and you know, I'm sure my email will pop up in the chat at any moment. But in the information pack that I'm sending out, there's also a dedicated email address for each of our staff networks. So by all means, colleagues, if you don't want to email me directly, you can email the staff network email, and you know, someone will get in touch with you about that. And people often ask me, how do I join? So people have emailed me in the past and said, I saw you on Staff Brief, how do I join? Just tell me that you want to join. Tell me which one you'd like to join, and I'm there, you're on the list.
Fantastic. So I'm sure you know, we're always welcoming Ali on Staff Brief, because for me, we get this incredible amount of enthusiasm and commitment that clearly spills over into all corners of your private life as well, Ali, judging by your husband's comments. But it's so energetic that what you bring to these briefs, and indeed what you do for the trust and for people, supporting people within it. So if you're interested in anything around getting involved and supporting staff networks, if you're just curious, then look at the pack. If you want to get involved right now, then contact Ali directly. And I think Jess will have already put in she has, so already posted. We've got Ali's contact details there. Thanks, Jess. Great, thank you. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you.
We have no questions in the chat. I'm sure questions are getting less and less. Is it because we've moved from Wednesday to Tuesday? We lost those that are curious about what we're talking about. Hopefully not. We will remain on Tuesday at noon for staff briefs as we go forward. So spread the message, and we'll be reminding everyone in the bulletins that come out this week as well. In the absence of any questions, I'll draw today to a close, but not before asking Emma and Ali for any sort of closing thoughts on what you might have heard today. Emma, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I think what struck me today is, I think, how we continue to do as much as we can to keep people connected, engaged, feeling valued, like they belong in the organisation. And I think that belonging is a really, really important thing. So for me, it just really struck me about the importance of our staff networks, particularly. And I think allyship is so important. I don't think, I mean, I've been reading a book that came out not long ago, A Good Ally, and it's fascinating. And the more that you, I read through it, the more I think, right, okay, there's some real opportunities for us here. And actually, so please do try to get involved. We know that time is precious, but it makes a big difference. And finally, may I just say, midnight Sunday is when we get our last chance for nominations for Excellence Awards. So please don't miss that opportunity. I'm sure we'd all kick ourselves if we did and it got to Monday morning. So set all those reminders and write it on the calendar. Thank you. And thanks, Ali, for your really authentic and very passionate words around our network. So thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Any last thoughts from you, Ali?
Just to say thank you to you both for having me, and thank you for your kind words. And what I would say is, in acknowledging how many attendees we have live, and we're a much bigger organisation than the number of people that are tuned in at the moment. So please, I have one ask of everyone who's attending today. Please talk to your colleagues about staff networks, spread the word, please make people aware of it. I would really, really appreciate that. But in the meantime, if you're watching this on playback, obviously, same message. Please just share the message of staff networks with everyone in your team. It would mean an awful lot to me and to our networks, and it will enable us to do more for you as well. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks both. I've just got a comment. It's a question really about, I think it's behind it is why we're moving Team Brief about. So the question is just a thought: have virtual views of Team Brief declined since it was moved from a Friday? Well, it was moved from Friday, well, not quite a year ago, but a few months ago. So on live views, the move to Wednesday didn't lose any attendees. It does at first, and that's what I'm experiencing today. So you usually get up anywhere between sort of 85 and 120 colleagues joining us, sort of ebbs and flows. And that certainly was the case for Fridays and when it moved to Wednesdays. Today, nearly 60. So we've got a few. I think we've lost a few because we've moved. I'm sure that'll that will change over the next few weeks once we get that message across. Of course, everyone can join following the event and watch it on playback. If you've got a question as a result of doing that, then please email myself directly or the communications team, and we will be able to pick those questions up in our next staff brief. Okay, thank you. Thanks to everyone who's joined. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Ali. Thanks to everyone who's doing an absolutely amazing job of working through this heat, keeping patients safe and keeping all our colleagues supported. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and I'll see you again next Tuesday at noon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye.